It's like the memes that you see on Facebook, like the only word that has two E's in the middle is weed. Prove me wrong kind of thing, right? And those things will get huge amounts of engagement because of people trying to, prove them wrong, right? And you'll see 1,000 different words with two E's in it. And people know
Right.
that. People feel compulsed to comment on them or share them. And so that's kind of throwing a much wider net there.
Welcome to Endless Coffee Cup, a regular discussion of marketing news, culture, and media for our complex digital lifestyle. Join Matt Bailey as he engages in conversation to find insights beyond the latest headlines and deeper understanding for those involved in marketing. Grab a cup of coffee, have a seat, and thanks for joining.
Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the Endless Coffee Cup podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Matt Bailey, and I am so excited about today's interview. It's with Joshua Nieuburrt. And Joshua, I'm going to hand it over and let you introduce yourself if you could, and then we're going to get into the exciting subject of memes, one of my favorites. Joshua, how are you doing today?
Excellent here. Thank you for that grand introduction. As we mentioned before, we came on record dancing on rainbows and walking on sunshine. It's a late evening here, but I hope we're going to have a great conversation. My name is Joshua Nieuburtt. I'm an adjunct faculty member at a couple different universities, and I'm also a PhD student at Old Dominion University, focusing on rhetoric, mis and disinformation, and its intersection with media and technology.
Love it. Love it. That's my background is in journalism and rhetoric. As I was reading your paper, and dear listener, this is what got me started. If you've been in the internet at all for more than a few decades, or maybe even a decade, or maybe even just the past few months, you know what memes are. Memes are the little picture graphics, maybe with something funny, but I've been fascinated by them because they carry so much. They're doing more than you think they are. I like to call them little thought bombs. But Joshua, what is it that interested you about memes? And then what is it that made you want to include this as part of your research into rhetoric and ultimately writing a paper about it?
That's a great question. I've always loved memes since I got on the internet in the late 90s. They've been going around for a long time. And even though people consider memes like the macro image that you see with the text over the top and then the picture and then something snarky or funny, memes take a lot of different forms. They can be videos, websites, parodies, phrases, photos, jokes, GIFs, pretty much anything that is sharing really condensed culture. And one of the big joys that I find from memes are they're like little puzzles. If you're part of the group that understands them, they kind of open up in front of you. Like Christmas morning, you're unwrapping it and it pops out and you're like, I get this. Or if you don't get it, it offers you opportunity to look deeper into something, to learn something new, or simply just to have a laugh. I think quite often memes are just for humor or for catharsis. And I think that they are incredible things to research because they are so dense and they can trace the roots back really, really, really far. And before we considered them memes, they still existed in societies throughout history, probably way back before we can even, consider writing or things like that. Memes still existed as stories and as things that were passed on. And now they've been taken to a whole new level with globalism and the internet and the connections that we continue to share and grow.
Yeah, right along with what you're saying is the layer aspect of it. This fits sort of that tribal aspect that in my tribe we get it. I know the movie reference. I know when this meme first appeared. I know, some of the original aspects of it. And there's this satisfaction of I understand this meme. I know where it came from. But yet, like you said, you can still be entertained by it, by not know all the history. But yet having that history really, I think it can isolate you as a group, that there's a special meaning there. There's a deeper meaning there. And so it carries a little more weight as it gets spread around within the community. And that makes a very powerful message whenever you package something like that.
Yeah, that's an incredible point. Yeah, they are very dense in their modality. They're very dense in the fact that there is certainly an in group and an out group. And if you are in that in group, and the danger, I think what you're alluding to is it can create an echo chamber, right? Or it can create, most people probably consider memes just something funny or like snarky, or I'm going to stick it to this other group of people. But they do help to reconfirm it, something that you believe already, or something that you understand, or something you mentioned that can be a deeply, deeply meaningful experience. If you just keep seeing the same thing over again, how could it possibly be incorrect, or how could it be misleading if so many people are continuing to share this idea? And I think that's one of the problems with people aren't always aware of why they're being shared or where they're originating from as well, which can certainly cause problems, as we've seen with like the IRA or other types of kind of maybe psyops or social experiments or things like that, where
Mm.
people are trying to use rhetoric, in this case visual rhetoric, to get people to reconfirm these misleading ideas or misinform for a purpose, right? And they might use something as such as humor as a hook to kind of draw you in, like a Bart Simpson meme or the LOL cats or something like that. It gets you funny, it gets you excited, you're laughing about it, and you share it, and then you join a Facebook group or something like that. But those Facebook groups can change and rebrand, and it could turn into something a little bit different.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I'm fascinated by how memes almost bypass our gatekeeping ability because there is that connection, and the deeper the connection, I think, to the meme, the easier it bypasses this maybe our gatekeeping or especially if it's confirming a bias. But that's why I call memes sort of that thought bomb, because they can get in so much faster than any other type of community. It fascinates me when that happens. It's like our guard goes down because it's funny, because we identify with it, and the message of it is able to almost sneak in to our psyche without really being challenged.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, they are definitely using heuristics, kind of like little cognitive shortcuts, and
Yeah.
they do use like less brain power, right? Whenever you're zoning out driving your kids to school or something, you're like, wow, how did I get here so fast? You're using a type of heuristic, right? You know how to get there, your body knows how to get there, and you can kind of zone out and think about whatever. And these memes kind of do the same thing. They're very easily consumed. Usually they're not too dense in what they're trying to say. You're not reading Hegel or something like that. But and as I mentioned before, they are consumed in mass as well, right? You're seeing so many of them that you're not probably going to stop and think, wait a minute, and really think below the surface of it. And they are definitely playing on things like confirmation bias, homogeneity bias, and popularity bias as well. And all of those kind of, I don't want to say trick, but maybe lead us in the direction of saying that, yeah, this is a good thing, or this is what I believe, or this is part of my identity, so I'm going to share it with other people who probably think the same.
Hmm. Now, I've got to ask, have you seen maybe a shift over the past, I don't know, 10 years? To me, and this goes to, kind of us online nerds. I feel like the internet 10 years ago was a lot more fun. There was it wasn't as serious, and especially with the political climate, especially here in the US. You're in Japan, maybe you're seeing something similar, but I felt like as soon as the political community got a hold of memes, as soon as these different groups or the political divisions got a hold of it, all of a sudden now they're, for lack of a better term, it's like memes are being weaponized to now for political means, for I'm part of this group and we're going to use these memes because we think they're cute, but they're they're being used completely in a different way now. Have you noticed that this shift from a fun to more of a political statement?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I remember when the internet was really the wild, wild west. It took you forever to load a web page, and when you finally did, even if it was just a GIF or a Flash website, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever after waiting for an hour. But I can really see, like, as time has gone on, there's been a big shift of people utilizing these fun, kind of quirky things in order to really become a staple of ideology or to share whatever it is that you believe and kind of what you believe, what other people should believe, or why other people are incorrect in their assumptions as well. And it does seem like, I don't know if there's just more people on the internet or more people are using it or finding out that these things are really easily shareable, go viral very, very easily. And if you do have a community, an in-group, it's much easier to share something that you all believe in, consume, quickly dispense on to the next one than something like a long essay or a book or something like that. People have time to really delve into those things. And if they do, they're not able to do it in mass, something like a meme. And so, yeah, I would have to agree with that observation and say that I think it's probably going to get more and more difficult to disassociate the meme, the real reality, and kind of like
Wow.
what Rand says is like a truth decay or post-truth kind of.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how this evolves over the next few years because, even before the podcast, I was talking to my kids about our discussion and, my teenagers are going back to the memes they started with. And, I'm trying to go back and those of you who've been online, maybe you remember Techno Viking. That was like one of the, like you said, I think I waited 20 minutes to download that minute long clip. And that was one that just got passed around. And then you end up with the penguin, I think the advice animals, those types of things. And you could even go back even further. And as I'm saying this, I'm looking down and Joshua, you might appreciate this. I have a grumpy cat mouse pad. So
Yeah,
I'm looking
memes are
down, I'm like,
everywhere, right?
oh my goodness, yes,
Painting our
that's right.
reality.
So yeah, just so much. You look back on that, and it's almost. I was telling him it's almost like a childhood cartoon that I grew up with. That now I have this affinity to these memes. I'm like, oh yeah, those are the good old days. Scumbag Steve and some of these others that I remember taking the Google logo and putting the Scumbag Steve logo hat on it. Just and then within my tribe that meant something. So it
Right.
was. There's so much, and you talk about this in your article, the recut of memes that it's not just sharing, there's an active participation in these. Could you go into that?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Well, there's a couple things that need for a meme to be viral or there's 4 or 5 things that need to happen. One of them is its ability to be remixed or recut, taking the same genre or the same idea and then playing on that for an audience that understands how it works. So that's one of them. Another one is it has to be collaborative, often humorous, something that people can agree with or nod their head at or wink, tilt their head at. And they often must be absurd. And they often blending reality with fiction, using fictional characters with reality, or utilizing a fictionalized personality of a real human being in an absurd situation. I think right before I got on this, I saw a meme that somebody was passing around, which was a GIF, and it was former President Donald Trump tossing up heads of politicians and then hitting them with a golf club kind of thing. And it does have reality to it, but it is so absurd and still speaks to this in-group of people. Also, they have to kind of act as a celebratory token of life's unique or unusual activities and insights. So I get tons of dad memes now on my Facebook feed or Twitter or whatever, and little things that if you are a father and you have a traditional experience, you're going to come across these ideas and you're going to feel like you're part of that in-group, but they are unique and special activities that only if you have those experiences can you really relate to them. Once again, part of that in-group kind of thing.
Wow.
They can also act as like a empowering form of social commentary. You saw a lot of this with like Black Lives Matter or after January 6th a couple of years ago. These things started to pop up a lot and they try to really, raise the crescendo of the music, give you some very, how can I say, emotionally engaging visuals and try to comment on some social issue. Or the last one is they're like a hoax meant to entertain or stoke emotional flames of the participant. And this kind of emotional engagement really makes it easy to share. And there's tons and tons of studies out there now that show like you're much more likely to engage with something that you disagree with or that makes you angry. And this is much more likely to have people see it. Even if you don't want people to see it, the worst thing you can do is engage with it because other people are going to want to see what you said, or other people can see what you said, or the algorithms, all of the algorithms in effect are going to say, oh, people are enjoying this content, or maybe people are engaging with this content. We need to keep eyes glued to our platform. Therefore, let's keep these types of things okay and keep them coming. So those are
Wow.
just, I think, what was that, 5 or 6 things
Yeah, that was
that really
great. I love it.
work.
Well, what's the power of emotion in rhetoric? I'm asking you because I love that understanding of the importance that emotion plays, but yet online that seems to really elevate that aspect of persuasion.
Yeah, emotion has always been a key component of rhetoric, going way, way back to the ancient Greeks, probably way, way before they documented it as well. Animals. And emotion is one of the ways that we interact with our reality, and it's one of the things that we have to live with a few exceptions of people that don't have those emotions. But it is a way that kind of bonds us together and keeps us. It is like it's a heuristic in and of itself that has kept us going for generation upon generation upon generation, and it is something that is utilized in rhetoric, whether it's visual rhetoric or spoken rhetoric or written rhetoric, to kind of convey your idea and help to persuade people for whatever it is that you're discussing or trying to talk. And it's been used a lot. Pretty much any political speech I can think of, any State of the Union, there's always going to be an element of emotion that plays into it. And it's acting as kind of a tool to try and build bridges between the speaker and the audience, and now the speaker and the greater audience that is not only there in the situation, but also those that will view it in the future, or those that will view it televised or on the internet, and so on and so forth.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a powerful tool.
it is. Yeah, and I've seen that happen, and so I want to dig into your paper because the text of your paper, where you're going with this is talking about the meme and its ability to. I love how you say sow discord, uh, very similar to the leaflet propaganda that was used in, I believe, World War II and some of the other operations, Vietnam. I think you highlight here as well that the meme is very similar in purpose, similar in design to a propaganda leaflet. I was so fascinated by that. Could you maybe explain how did you come about with idea and how do you connect that?
I think the real big part was DiResta and her crew came out with a really big report about the IRA to Congress. And I listened to a couple podcasts and I read the report, and I was just so fascinated at how people were utilizing memes or utilizing the internet and kind of psyops or information ops to try and sow discord or change points of view, or how can I say, separate groups of people from each other and
Mm,
create kind of like a wall around them. And I started to think about this, and I was already following like different types of propaganda or reading into it or looking into it just as something that I found interesting and exciting as a form of rhetoric. Leaflet propaganda really looked like a meme, like we would have now, right? Pre internet times, how would you get your information? It would be televised, or it would be on paper and or spoken word of mouth. And it occurred to me that these things are being used in the same exact way, but nobody had really side by side and said, well, let's look closer at these, and then let's look closer at the activities of historical psyops or information ops and see how they work together in tandem. Are they My research question coming into it was, are is our internet memes like a new iteration of leaflet propaganda?
mm,
And I'm sure your audience knows, but they used to be dropped out of planes or left on the battlefield, and they could be anything. But just like how memes are used now, the audience that was targeted plays a in how they're interpreted. If you are giving something that is totally unbelievable to them, even if it is true, people are not going to believe it. If you're talking about an issue that is not important to them, people are just going to throw it away. One example, this is from memory, so please don't trust me too much on this one. But I think it was during the Gulf War, Saddam Hussein tried to use some leaflet propaganda as well, and it related to cartoon characters. I think it was Bart Simpson was in one of them, and
yes.
they were saying things like Bart Simpson is copulating with
Right.
deer,
Yes. Yes.
and soldiers were collecting these and keeping them as kind of like tokens and kind of fun things because they were so late to the reality that they were living. And so they do run parallel to them, or at least they are being used, and even agencies such as DARPA did actually produce studies on memes and their ability to be used in psychological warfare or information operations. And so
Hmm.
they do seem to be this new thing, not really new, just a new remix, just like um, we talked about remixability earlier. They're just a remix of an older technology being brought to the masses on a much larger scale without having to worry about planes or all of the other real material things that were utilized.
Hmm. Yeah, I like how you brought out, especially in Okinawa, that the purpose of the leaflets were to discredit their leadership and make the Japanese soldiers think twice about this. And are you really going to go through with this? Are you, really bringing doubt and questioning that that was the purpose of the propaganda? And I was reading through that. I'm like, this is the same thing. It's memes are meant to either reinforce or make you question. Like you said, they're not extensive works of rhetoric that are going to persuade you, but maybe there's something, and I'm trying to think of an example of maybe where I saw one that did make me think twice, but yet I feel like they're so polarizing that it's hard to maybe find a meme that maybe has changed your mind about something, because it is a polarizing thing. It is. I'm trying to imagine a soldier seeing one of these, and you're going to react one or the other way. I don't think there's a middle ground in that. Did you see anything like that where it? I mean, you gave a great example of a non-effective propaganda leaflet, but was there any study into how soldiers reacted to these, or was it just a polarized I'm this way or that way, and that helped me reaffirm something rather than change?
I can't think of anything offhand, but it does seem either humor or it's meant to keep you in or meant to make you rethink the way that you're thinking about things. And there are times where they did attempt these things, particularly with leaflet propaganda in World War, where they were kind of testing. They'd find POWs and they'd ask them, well, what do you think about this? Would this be something that would convince people? And I think one of the points I mentioned something about all breakfast or like eggs with their breakfast or something like that. And the prisoners laughed. They knew it was real. They were receiving these like meals, but they said there's no way that a frontline soldier is going to believe that you are going to breakfast, right? Or breakfast with eggs, because it's just too absurd, even if it is part of reality. And
Mm.
so I think those are the only things that I can really think of that would not necessarily hit their, but I don't think they're intended to kind of be that middle ground either. I think either, as I mentioned before, humorous or meant to rethink the world around you. And so
Hmm.
with their intention, I don't think they have that affordance, or if they do have that affordance, it would probably be something that the audience wouldn't recognize and would just skip over.
What are, I guess, some of the limitations? You talk about limitations of audience targeting in the propaganda leaflets. What were some of those limitations that you found? I kind of, when you gave the eggs with breakfast example, I used to be in the military, and now I didn't see any combat, but knowing friends of mine that did, the possibility of having a hot meal if you've been sitting out in the field for weeks, that's an attractive offer. So I don't think that was so far off, but yet it's not, it's one of those things that logically you may say that that can't happen, but yet there is inside of you something that says that's not a bad deal. That's got to be happening. But what are
Exactly,
some other
exactly. Maybe too
things?
good to be true.
Right, right. But there's a point to be had there. What are some examples of like completely targeting the wrong audience with a propaganda leaflet?
I think it would be much more with analytics and all the data that is available on people. I think you can target a small group or you can target an individual. I think it's too far gone to say like it would be ineffective. But as I mentioned before, if it doesn't live up to the things that I mentioned, it would be ineffective. Different languages or even different aspects of culture that you don't share, such as religion or political party, or even just hitting the mark wrong with the words that you use, could alter the way that people look at it. And people would say, oh, this is trash. I'm not going to waste my time on this. The other side of the coin, certain things can be used also to kind of cheat engagement, right? You'll see lots of memes with words spelled wrong. A lot of times those are spelled wrong on purpose because people will like to comment on them, right? Oh, you can't even spell whatever word, right? And or the grammar's bad. They're meant to pull in your engagement, right? It's kind of thinking about things from the rather than saying this is perfect. It's not going to always be that way because they realize that this does get engagement. It's like the memes that you see on Facebook, like the only word that has two e's in the middle is weed. Prove me wrong, kind of thing, right? And those things will get huge amounts of engagement because of people trying to, prove them wrong, right? And you'll see 1,000 different words with two e's in it, and people know
Right.
that. People feel compulsed to comment on them or share them, and so that's kind of throwing a much wider net there.
It does, and it certainly takes advantage of the popularity algorithm when you can drive that much. I like to quote unquote engagement, and it was interesting. I had someone earlier talking about email, and we talked about a campaign where there was a misspelling in the subject line of the email, and the response rate to the email went up significantly. They increased the amount of sales that they made, and the VP was asking, well, should we put a misspelling in every email subject line? Thinking that, maybe this is a strategy rather, and we're trying to talk him down off of, professionally, I'm not sure you want to do that. This was a one-off because there's nature in people to want to correct, my kids bought me a shirt of Internet Debate Team, and the tagline is someone on the internet is wrong, because there's this need, I think, of people to correct or to, disprove, or I believe that there's got to be a lot of people running around thinking people can't be this dumb, and I'm going to teach them what's right. That seems to be a part
One
of
way
this
or another.
whole thing. Yeah, right. Yeah. So now we've also seen where we talked briefly about politics, how they're using memes more and more. And you even go into this as well about how this has become really kind of a major force of using memes to, again, insulate a group and make them, I think, we see a lot that enthusiasm gap. Our core group get closer together and increase enthusiasm. But also you talk about, disguising as maybe some grassroots behavior through use of memes.
Political astroturfing is the term, and it's used by political campaigns, their actions, and it looks spontaneous, like it's grassroots behavior. All of these people are coming together for this great idea, but in reality, it's actually carried out by one person or an organization or a group of people trying to once again use rhetoric to convince people or persuade people, and to kind of once again build on those heuristics and biases to garner more support or to kind of raise something like that. And it is a potentially very dangerous idea. Roots are the people, they are where change really, really, really starts until it moves up the chain, especially in large government organizations. It's going to take time to bring these ideas up. But if you have an idea and you have the means to do it, and you don't want to be seen as the person, all need to do this kind of, maybe astroturfing is a strategy that be used and is certainly used to kind of either plant, I don't want to say, like, let me rephrase what I'm going to say, kind of plant seeds in people's minds of this could be a possibility. And hopefully, if they're watered and if those seeds are taken care of, to continue the metaphor, they will bloom into whatever it is that you're hoping they bloom into. And your organization or your idea will kind of be the sun for them to keep growing and keep it.
That, like you said, that's dense. There's a lot of information packed into a meme to communicate that level of information. How much of memes is the audience interpreting or putting their desire or their expectation on a meme like that, rather than it being solely one-way communication, that the receiver is adding more of what they want to see?
That's a really good question. And I think memes in and of agents, right? And they're passed from one person to the next person to the next person, whether for humor or for political action. And as that, you're when you share it, right? Most people I know are just sharing for humor, or people who do have kind of polarized views are certainly sharing for whatever team that they happen to be on in their own minds. And so I'm not sure how deep people are actually digging on these things. And there are scholars that are looking at them, and they have found that certain types of memes don't require as much cognitive thinking or don't require as much um, depth when you're sharing them. For example, like memes that have cute babies or cute animals and something kind of fluffy to say. People are not really engaging with them in a dense way. But I just recently came across the study, I think last year, from communication scholars from Penn State and UC Santa Barbara studying memes and COVID. And they found that when dealing with kind of stress inducing things such as COVID, people are actually thinking deeper about them and utilizing much more deep cognitive functions along with it. But they also found that by using these memes or viewing these memes or sharing these memes, that their participants are releasing their stress. They're used as kind of a form of, and they felt less stressed by viewing them, having a laugh at them, and continuing on with their existence. And so they certainly can be used as catharsis, and they certainly can be viewed deeply. I'm reminded of I can't remember what it is. What is it, like Stoner Steve or something?
Yes.
One of the old memes, like, whoa, dude, kind of things. But people are engaging with them or think about them. And if you ever get into like history memes, people are really, really deeply engaging with history memes, talking
Mm.
about the history or talking about what this meme is not covering, or maybe adding more to the story, which is super, super interesting that just a meme can engage so many people to add so much to the conversation. And always double check what they say, of course, but it really, really does become participatory, and it really can lead to deeper conversations or exploration or unique things, particularly if you think this is interesting, but I don't quite get it. Let me spend 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes digging into my own hole here, and then finding the rabbit hole at the bottom and going even deeper into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that with the history memes. Yeah, that's a whole nother area that you could really dive into. And I think that's maybe a way for making history fun. Is getting some of these, and I've seen some educators even working with high school students to create a meme about history, which now they're able to incorporate something that they see as fun, and also researching memes can't be bad. I mean, this had to be a
Right,
fun project to put together. I gotta, I
right,
gotta
right.
tell you. As a regular listener of the Endless Coffee Cup, you know that I am passionate about learning and teaching others. With that, I've launched my own education portal for marketing professionals. It's at learn.sitelogic.com. I'm creating and launching a series of courses on analytics. First course is how to create an analytics strategy that aligns to your business objectives. The second course is 6 analytics skills that turn data into insights. The third course, launching in just a few weeks, is how to eliminate data overload and improve your presentations. This final course teaches you how to speak the language of the C-suite in your presentations, making you more persuasive, powerful, and effective in your marketing role. You'll also find short topics on data, Google algorithms, and local SEO. And finally, the centerpiece is the OMCA certification course. This is a 40-hour coached course that provides you with a solid digital marketing foundation. At the successful conclusion of this course, you are eligible to sit for the OMCA exam, and you'll receive a free voucher for the exam, a $225 value that is included with your course enrollment. I'm an advocate of the OMCA certification, as OMCA certified marketers make 16 to 25% more than their non-certified coworkers. The OMCA is proof of your skills and knowledge in this industry. Go to learn.sitelogic.com right now to accelerate your marketing career.
Right, totally agree. I have some colleagues that I went to graduate school or undergraduate school, and they're teachers now, high school teachers, university teachers, and they do incorporate these types of multimodality into their courses. Somebody shared something recently about their students making tweets for Shakespeare characters and
Oh,
going along with
nice.
the story, but instead of in Shakespearean language or adapted modern English to Shakespearean language, they're using memes or using or whatever it is that they decided on, and it was hilarious, and it was a really unique way to kind of utilize literature, memes, and the internet all at the same time.
That is great, and what a way to engage kids. I mean, and bring it into their own culture, bring it into their own, their daily life, and really study and then interpret it. That is such a powerful way to teach. I love it. I love it.
Right,
What
right.
you
You have to
brought
meet them
up,
where they are.
absolutely. You brought up dealing with the pandemic through memes, and I laugh because in your paper you've got an Oregon Trail meme of you you died because you failed to hoard enough, and there's a big roll of toilet paper. I mean, I gotta imagine that through this pandemic, and I'm thinking back, just I mean, that has been you've got to laugh about something, and memes have really filled that gap that the news is depressing, anything you're getting information from is overwhelming, and it's like memes have been the only thing that are providing something that you can just laugh at. And wow, thank goodness for that, because that is that catharsis. I mean, it's almost, have you seen this as well, where like meme culture just went off during the pandemic, and it's
Oh,
a
for sure.
good thing that it did for our mental health.
Oh, totally agree. And but with other things as well, depression or being a veteran, or I know the veteran community shares a huge amount of memes reflecting
Mm.
on their time in the military, and a lot of it seems to be cathartic in its roots or kind of nostalgic as well. Yeah, just about any, thing that could be considered difficult has memes about it. And it is kind of geared towards that cathartic experience of sharing in this commonality. Once again, if you're part of that group, you're part of that in group, there are going to be other people out there that have that same or similar experience that you can reach out to and share a meme, have a laugh, and both of you will know we share this experience. And that's a very powerful feeling, knowing that you're not alone, even if you can't vocalize it or you don't feel like sharing it, or one of a million other things that keeps you from expressing it. The meme can express it for you and let people know where you're at, or let people know that they're not alone in feeling what they feel or experiencing what they've experienced as well.
Mm. Yeah, that has been, I think, probably one of the areas where I think I even subscribe to COVID memes, just because and that's the thing, you're getting both, I would say the left and right, or the conservative liberal, or you see both together, and I feel like I'm not in those groups, but as an outsider, I'm looking at it going, "You people are insane." And again, I'm elevating myself, into another tribe of I'm looking at you 2 fighting each other, and it's ridiculous. Grow up. So, like, there's another layer there that's gotta be something worth looking at. But,
Oh, for sure.
just what the pandemic has created in terms of both political, but also dealing with the strangeness of the situation. As I love the hoarding meme, and really going back to Oregon Trail, you really went back in the archives there.
Yeah, I came across that one early on in the research. Maybe it was later on in the research, but it was just as the pandemic was hitting before I had to submit it. And they were coming out so fast, and things were moving so quick, and everybody was really, really unsure of what was going to happen next. And they really came in at a good time to kind of change the conversation, to kind of take a step back, exercise some self-reflexivity, and say, wow, what exactly are we doing? Is this the right decision? And then most people doing, but it did offer an opportunity to reflect on it. And as you mentioned before, there is that third space where you're neither on the left or the right, or A side or B side. And there are lots of people in that third space kind of looking back and forth and wondering, like, what's going on here? I don't necessarily align with either of these. Maybe I see some good points here, some good points here, some bad points here, some bad points here. But memes do offer that ability to kind of pick and choose what you identify with or what you find funny. And if you don't find it funny, You don't need to spread that jam on your toast, so it's okay.
But yeah, I love that because the humor aspect seems to be the core trait of it all. Um, I just I look back and in your paper you've got the condescending Wonka meme, which oh my goodness, that one has got a history on it.
Oh,
I
for sure.
love it. But I also find, and maybe you were doing this too, the now that the phones in their group chats or in their texts integrating the ability to put a meme now in the chat. I don't have to go
Oh yeah.
search for it and copy it and paste it into the chat. It's now part of the keyboard that I find I don't respond in text. I'll go find a meme that has the attitude I'm trying to convey, and I'll post that rather than the text because it's the text, it's words. There's no attachment to them. They could be misinterpreted. Whereas the meme has the attitude and maybe the message as well that I want to convey. And I find in a number of groups, I went back and looked, and like 80% of what I'm posting here is a meme as a reaction to what's being said. And like now it's being used as communication rather than as a symbol.
Yeah, that's fascinating. If you look back, I'm sure that we share a similar experience when cell phones to be used, and you had to use the keyboards to make a smiley face or a wink
Oh,
face or something like that, right? And then came in the digital emojis, and then now we have GIFs or memes or things like that. And I have to laugh at your situation because there are certainly conversations that if I look on my phone, there's going to be 15, 20, 30 memes and nobody saying anything.
right.
Just sharing for a laugh or just continuing on like a silly conversation through GIFs that would make no, as you said, it does have that attitude. And even if it's interpreted wrong, people are going to give it the benefit of a doubt, like, maybe I just don't get this. And they'll throw up another GIF or a meme that's like, what are you talking thing? And I think they do, the multimodality of them does offer a lot of opportunity to really express yourself outside of just pure text-based language, which can often be interpreted so wrong so many times without
Oh,
tone or body language or things like that. But they see the meme, they can maybe understand it, and if they don't, they can always send another meme back in return, throwing up hands or questioning what you're saying.
well, there's one thing that, and I'm going to bring this up to you. This is completely off base, maybe. I noticed in one of my groups, and there's been a sub conversation. There's a secondary group going on about the primary group. Because there's one person in there that it's like they don't understand how to use memes. And every time they will use a meme, the rest of us are trying to figure out what are they trying to do because it doesn't fit. And part of us we're wondering, does he understand the meme that he's using? Because the words in the meme might fit, but the meme itself, the history of the meme, the image, the gift that's going on, it's like I don't think he understands what this means or what he's trying to communicate. Have you ever met anyone like that? And where you probably call it the meme game. Is the meme game
Yeah, for sure.
strong, or are there people that just can't figure out the meme game?
I can figure out, people communicate in different ways, and some people are verbal, some people are visual, some people are, a good balance of both. And sometimes people just don't have the back knowledge to understand, what this genre of memes actually means. And you'll see this a lot on political posts as well. People will use the wrong
Yes.
meme, which once again could be used as a tool to engage you, but they'll share it unironically, and it's meant to be ironic. I see this a lot, and yeah, people just might not understand, or people, maybe your friend is just bored and yanking your chain. I don't know.
Oh no, no, he doesn't know. It's obvious. Yeah, I love that. I've seen that as well. Yes, especially in the political that and again, it fits my preconceived idea, so I'm going to use it without knowing the background, and it absolutely backfires in them. It seems like there's this rush to score points, but like any other quote or work of literature, if you don't understand the author's intent, if you don't understand what's that, and you appropriate it to your viewpoint, you need to be aware that it could backfire. And I think memes they've got that history now that it does require some level of competence when utilizing that.
Yeah, totally agree with you. It does have its own literacy, especially as meme culture grows and there's more types of genres, more things to talk about, more connections to media that people might not have come in contact. Or if you go international, people might not understand that this actor is famous for this thing, and that's why they're being used here with this. I have flashbacks of DiCaprio in Django being used incorrectly now. But yeah, they require a level of literacy that does take time and experience, just like reading or riding a bike or just communicating in general. And if you don't have that experience or you're not part of that this in group, very difficult. And but I don't think it has so much to do with like age or things like that.
Hmm.
Years old, and as you mentioned, the meme game, her meme game is far, far too strong, I think. Some of the things that she shares are just hilarious. And I have to step back and say, is that my grandmother? And there's no way I can say them here, but most of them are rather risque. So yeah, it's not an age thing, I think. It's just
Is
an understanding of culture.
That's great. As long as it's not minions.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I could eliminate from memes, it would be the minions, because I think I don't know what people think that just adding a minion automatically gives them credibility or makes it funny. I'm anti-minion meme, but that is great to hear your grandmother's on point with that. I love it. Let me ask Josh, what's maybe the earliest meme you remember?
The earliest one, before it came on, I wrote this down because I was trying to think about this too, is the hamster dance. Yeah, the hamster dance, and it was 1998. And it's just
Wow.
basically a flash,
Hmm.
almost a gif of hamsters dancing and just this really like high pitched song. Yeah, I have a link to it
Hmm.
if you're interested. I can send it
Oh,
to you.
the show notes are going to be off the charts with this one because peanut butter jelly time.
I looked that
That
up today as well.
and then they redid it in Family Guy. And I remember someone sent that to me, the clip, and I'm watching this going, who knows this? Who remembers that from the day? And like my kids know peanut butter jelly time because it comes up every once in a while, and none of their friends have a clue what they're talking about. And so they get to introduce now their friends to peanut butter jelly time. And it's great to see this passing down of the meme.
Forget Shakespeare, forget the great works of philosophy. I've got this meme for you. Check this out. Yeah.
Oh, well, and yeah, I mean, we sometimes, I remember when my kids, were a little younger, we would show them. So, I feel like it's a rite of passage for every employee that I have. You've got to see Techno Viking. There is just
Oh yeah.
no argument. You have to see this because it,
Every
it
time
is
it,
one of
it comes
those.
up on my feed, I'm like, it happens again. I know exactly what that is. I can hear it without even watching it, but I'm gonna watch it
Yes.
again. Yeah, and I had my kids watch it. My kids are very, very young. It, and the only thing my daughter could say was like, "Daddy, why does he have no shirt?"
Could you
And
repeat that? You cut out. I'm sorry,
oh,
Joshua. You
sorry,
cut
I
out
had my
just at
young
the
daughter watch it.
punchline.
I had my young daughter watch it, and the only thing she could say, she didn't really get it, of course, but she was like, "Why does he have no shirt on, Daddy? He has a shirt on." And yeah, that's all she could say, and then walked away, leaving her father sitting there ruminating about it. It's Techno Viking, come
Absolutely.
on.
Yeah, yeah, this is classic. This is classic internet.
Right?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and the grumpy cat, which that just created, I think that was probably one of the first characters that just commercialized right off the bat. Not only did it become a meme, but then whoever the owner of the cat was, I don't know if they got a copyright or anything like that. But now, here I am with a grumpy cat mouse pad, but it was everywhere and just took over. So yeah, it's just amazing the appeal of this, and also I, I I'm in marketing, and so it was interesting. The other day, someone sent me a quote for services, and one of the line items is, and it will go viral. And I had to laugh, like virality is now a line item. Are you serious? I, Memes are the absolute essential part of that is the virality of it, especially when you have a meme generator where you can actually go create your own
Oh, for
and then
sure.
apply that. That I think, just leveraged everything into a whole nother world.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. The the virility is incredible, and the people, the meme smiths, the people who are actually producing these, especially the novel ones, are amazing at what they do. They have, their thumb on the pulse of society, and they're able to really, really do this well. And it's incredible how they can pull disparate pieces of culture together and then kind of unite it with the rhetorical situation and put it out to the world, and then it's embraced. It's really neat to see. And yeah, I could see how that could be something somebody would want. I want this to go viral, but it can be a much more complex equation than just I want it to go viral, period.
Right, right, right. That and yeah, it's fascinating. Like you said, I remember seeing some of these. Like, who came up with this? And even though I may have seen the meme 100 times with with those words at this point, to use that meme and as an observation on this event, like, who's doing this? Who's making this happen? And there's this, for me, a real sense of appreciation that someone is brilliant in coming up with this. It's an amazing. Who is this person? I don't know who they are, or,
Right.
or or if maybe just a million memes are created and this one rose to the top. I really don't know how that happens. It's just amazing to see it in action, though.
It really is. Yeah, they're amazing. They're still hiding in the shadows for the most part. Some of them are pretty well known, meme smiths, but people out there making incredible things and just letting them go, out into the world. And they are making
Hmm.
a change, even if it's just a chuckle or somebody de-stressing or somebody getting up in arms and throwing their computer at the wall. Like, they are creating change and ripples in the world through these unique creations that they have. And it's a fascinating thing to see unfold.
It is, and probably the most real time. And one of my daughters was doing this. Is we were watching the opening ceremonies to not the last Olympics, but one before, and she has her phone because she wants to see the memes that are being generated real time from the opening ceremonies.
That's
And
incredible.
I'm just fascinated by this, that this is amazing that now not only is it a subculture, it's a subtext behind the main event that's happening. And how many memes can we pump out and create based on a real-time event that's happening? And it's become a real, phenomenon of, we're gearing up to watch the next round of Olympics, and oh, the memes are coming. The Super Bowl, the memes are coming.
Super Bowl,
We'll
right?
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just fascinating that there is a almost a real-time industry of meme production during specific events.
Yeah, that's totally it. It is part of the equation now, right? In the past, you'd have to get your news or information or entertainment from somebody else, but people are the creators now. People are putting them out there to the world, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, wherever, Twitter. And it is really, really participatory, and it really does have the potential to bring people together for good, for fun, or potentially malevolent ends. And that's kind of the double-edged sword that memes represent.
Now, I don't want to end on a down note, but your last sentence, I think, was in your paper, was really, I think, a great way to sum up both the podcast, but also your view here. I love how you said it. Perhaps for the time, it's best to try and have a laugh and share some memes, but perhaps it's best to enjoy the laugh, for the world of tomorrow may look back and find internet memes nothing to joke about. Why did you end with that sentence? What was it that was on your mind, or that that you wanted to get across as a summary there?
I think in the moment, we kind of forget that, we're carving out a future. And if, we have the decision, which way we want to go personally as a group. And of course, there's going to be obstacles and things like that. But if we can share this laugh and stay on that high note, perhaps we can end up in a better place than we are. Perhaps we can dig out of the situations that we know exist, but feel powerless to do anything against. And part of that could be just expressing these ideas in these memes, but it can also go the opposite direction as well. And people in the future may look back and say, wow, they had all these warnings, they had all these ideas. Why didn't they do anything except for laugh at cats on the internet, kind of thing? So I think it's just best to laugh if you don't know what to do.
Great. Oh, Joshua, that was a great, great way to end. Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, Joshua. Before you go, I have to ask, what is are you a tea drinker? What is your a beverage of choice?
Oh, it's coffee for sure. I think my body is 70% coffee at this point.
Great. I am this morning. I am having I just opened a new package of Costa Rican Las Lajas, and I have to say it has been a phenomenal cup to enjoy while talking with you. So
I think I can smell it from here. It smells delicious.
We'll have to make sure. Well, I mean, you're in Japan. How's the coffee over there? What I've got to ask you.
It's great. Even the convenience store coffee, where you go to the convenience store and it's their brand, you buy it, and it's great. It's delicious. There's also a lot of different brands here from beans all over the world. My mom came. She was like, I gotta buy like 5-6 packages from the convenience store, and I was like, this isn't even really good coffee. What are you doing? But she loves it. Even now, she'll talk to me and says, send me some coffee. But yeah, it's excellent here, and it is a globalized country, so we have access to everything. So yeah.
That's fantastic. I love it. Joshua, thank you so much for your time. It has been a great conversation. I may call you again when the subject of memes comes up.
All right, I'll be here waiting, okay? I'll have a couple more memes for you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Joshua. And thank you, dear listener, for tuning in to another episode of the Endless Coffee Cup. Really appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.